It's time for this week's episode of Brandon's Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon's Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the honor to interview the U.S. water skiing Lauren Morgan. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in the sport of water skiing?
Yeah, sure. I actually didn't want to be a part of it at all. My family, um, I've come from three generations of water skiers, so I was around it all the time. It was almost like because I was always around it all the time, I wanted to do something else. So I started out as a tennis player. And then I specifically remember going to the water ski nationals. This must have been around 2000 or so. Um, and I went there as like my 10th nationals of going and sitting on the shore and watching my parents ski. And I saw the kids, having fun, enjoying themselves. And I was just kind of bored. I didn't have any friends. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to start skiing. So about actually right when we got home from that tournament, I decided, Mom, can you start pulling me skiing? Let's buy a ski. Let's do the whole thing. And that's how it sort of got started.
Of course, what was that like getting started at such a young age in water skiing?
Actually, in terms of water skiing, starting ages, I was a little late. So in some ways, I think it was an advantage because I didn't have the burnout and things like that. But I did start, see, I started slaloming around age 9. And I did that for a couple years, and then I didn't start tricking until like 11, which for tricks, you need to have a lot of time on the water, and so that did kind of hurt me in tricks. Tricks is definitely my worst event of the three. So I wish I had started a little sooner with that one, but in some ways, I think, like I said, it helped reduce burnout starting around 9 or 10, as opposed to earlier where kids these days are starting at like 5.
Of course, what was that like learning how to do tricks in the water?
Tricks was definitely the hardest to learn. I don't trick anymore. I quit tricking after college because I just don't have time with my job. Because it is so time consuming. Tricks is there's no fins on the board, so it's just kind of like a swivel ski, sort of, like a wake surf where there's just no fins and you're just kind of sliding. Um, and so it's really difficult to maintain your balance, learn tricks. Takes a lot of time on the water, a lot of falling, a lot of trying over again, getting, falling, getting hurt, getting back up. And so, like I said, I wish I would have had those couple extra years on the water. The best trickers in our sport, the Eric Langs, the Anna Gays, they started, at 4, 5, 6 years old. Um, and so they're incredible and they put a lot of time in, but um, it's definitely I think the most difficult to learn.
Of course, what was it like preparing for the competitions in water skiing?
Oh, it's changed. Growing up, I did all three events, and so it was just a lot of time on the water. I would ski up until I was about 18 years old. I would ski probably 4 or 5 times a day. Every day you get up almost 365 days a year. You get up, train, you do the same thing. Um, and it's tough. I mean, there's burnout that obviously comes with it. But if you want to be the best, that's what you do. And especially as an overall skier, it's really, really tough. Now that I only do one event, primarily jump, it's a lot easier. I have a lot more time to strategize for tournaments, plan tournaments out. I do a lot more off the water, I would say, than on the water. But I definitely have all those hours of training that I had from when I was younger. So that makes it a lot easier.
How was that feeling like when you first made the US team for water skiing?
Yeah, so I first made the US team when I was about 15. and that was the Pan American team, junior team. We went to Colombia, and it was amazing. I remember, traveling out. It was my first time going out of the country. The team was amazing. We won. I was the youngest one on the team, so it was kind of, the baby. So it was a lot of like just learning and kind of understanding how this would work. I knew right when I went to Colombia for the first time and went out of the country with the U.S. team, I knew, this is what I want to do. I want to keep doing this because it was just so much fun. And there's nothing quite like, standing on the podium with your team's flag, representing, and kind of knowing, like we just won, we just represented the U.S. And being part of that team atmosphere, which we don't really get all the time in water skiing. So it's
Of
great.
course, how was that like the first time you went internationally and competed internationally?
Yeah, that was crazy to me. I remember getting off the plane in Colombia and, South America, there's people everywhere. They're trying to sell you stuff, trying to get you in their, trying to get you like to rent a car from the whatever. I was like, what is going on? My mom was with me, thank goodness. Otherwise, I don't know what I would have done. But yeah, it was crazy. We stayed at this compound, which was like a resort, but there was, guys with machine guns guarding the doors. I mean, it was a crazy experience. I had never quite skied in anything like that. But then we did venture out a little bit. I had some friends from Colombia who kind of showed us around. And like I said, like right when I did it, I was hooked. I was like, okay, this is what I want to keep doing. This is such a fun experience. Sort of the camaraderie of it, meeting all the different people from the different countries. I really enjoyed as well. I have some friends that I met at that tournament that are still my good friends today. So, I love traveling out of the country.
Of course, during that time, what was that like getting to travel with your mother and get to experience that alongside your mother?
It was really special. My mom probably traveled to most of my international tournaments until I was about 18. So, we've gone to Colombia, Peru, Italy, Chile, um, all these different places that she got to kind of come with me, and we would, go to the tournament and then do some sightseeing. Um, she was kind of like at the time, my little manager because, without her, I don't even think, I would have made it. Quite frankly, setting me up for practice, letting me know, like getting me prepared. So, that was great. And we definitely share some special memories from those times.
What does that feel like getting to be on the waters internationally and obviously in Italy and Purdue, getting to be on those waters?
It's every site you go to is a little bit different. There's some that are harder, there's some that are easier. In Florida and the US, we're very spoiled. The water is very, it's usually a man-made lake. Um, Not a lot of backwash, perfect boat, perfect wind, perfect ramp, all the things. And then you go to some of these sites outside of the country, Colombia, for instance, you're at a high altitude, and it was my first time experiencing that. The boat's not as powerful. You're out of breath a little bit faster. The water's a little bit more rolly. So learning those things at an early age has really prepared me for now when I go to those kind of more difficult sites. We'd go to another place we'd go that I went to the earlier years with my mom was the Movement Masters in Australia. You're skiing on a river. There's a current. There's all these different elements when you travel outside the country. The lake we went to in Italy was very nice, perfect man-made lake. So there wasn't really too many elements to deal with. But of course, there's like the little things. It's the language barriers, the driving. Sometimes if you go to like a country where you have to drive on the other side of the road and figuring out all the logistics, that you wouldn't really think about in Florida and training, things like that. So it's always an adventure. I always say you have to kind of just, take all your control away, let things happen. Don't get too stressed out about anything because something's going to happen when you're in a different country. You just got to kind of go with the flow and not let it impact your performance.
Of course, for my listeners that don't know, what is water skiing?
Yeah, so water skiing, 3 event water skiing, which is what I do, is an individual sport usually, but we do ski on some team events like we were just talking about. But it's still at the end of the day an individual sport. You earn individual medals. Slalom is where you go around 6 buoys, and the line starts at the full length line is 75 feet. And then they shorten the line as you run the passes, as you get the 6 buoys. And so The world record right now is at 43 off, which means 43 feet off the 75-foot rope. And then for tricks, it's more similar to wakeboarding, I'd say. You have 2 20-second passes, and you just get as many tricks in as you can. And the judging is all on if you completed the trick with credit or not. There's no style points. It's if you did the trick and you got the right air, or you did the full rotation, or you did the full flip without, you know, making sure you got enough air, all those things. So if you got credit or not. And then jump is a distance sport, similar to snow ski jumping, where whoever goes the furthest wins. You get 3 jumps. I think it's kind of the most cut and dry of the 3 disciplines, because it's literally whoever goes the farthest on the day. So.
Of course, what are the difference between water skiing and wakeboarding?
Yeah, so I don't know too much about wakeboarding, but if you were going to compare like wakeboarding to trick skiing, I think wakeboarders, they don't have a time limit. It's more of like a start buoy, and then they just do their tricks. They throw however many tricks they can, and it's more about style. So also, like, I know that like a grab, like I don't want to talk about something I don't really know much about, but I know that there is a lot of, I mean, it's sometimes a little subjective, because judging the style points and things like that comes into play. Um, but wakeboarding is all about, and also about like how much air you got, um, things like that. So a lot more style comes into it, I would say, with wakeboarding. But
How's,
the board does have fins too, so that's a big difference. Like the wakeboard has fins.
how's it been like obviously balancing being a college student and also competing for Team USA?
It's had its challenges, but I would say overall it's been mostly positive because, well, one, because water skiing isn't a NCAA sport, I was able to ski competitively, ski on a collegiate level, so I could make money and earn money, prize money, from the, professional circuit for skiing, then also be, when I did my undergrad, be at the collegiate level and still get my scholarship and still be a part of the team and all that. So that was really nice in undergrad to kind of have both of those things. I could make some money as a college student, which is great. And then, being part of the collegiate team was such a fun experience. And we can talk about that more if you like. But the balance was hard at first. I wasn't really much of a academic in undergrad. I didn't really care too much. I just wanted to get good enough grades so I could stay on the ski team because it was so much fun. But then, I'm still in school now. I have a master's degree. I'm working on my PhD. So I'm a full-time academic these days. And I still love the balance. It's tough, but I really do believe the balance helps me more than it hurts me. I have to compartmentalize my life. For example, I work half the day, and then I'll go and train half the day, and it's very cut and dry. I'm not sitting at the lake all day, looking at the lake, wondering if I should go ski, wondering if I should. I don't have the option to do that. I'm driving out to the lake, and I have a time frame that I can ski, and that really helps me kind of plan my life. I feel like I have a really good balance, and it's taken me some time to figure that out. Of course, like there's been times where I was just skiing or just doing school and was miserable. So it's been a learning process, but I think it's for the better.
What is that like, obviously, as you said, getting to compete collegiately?
Yeah, I think collegiate water skiing is probably one of the funnest parts of water skiing. If anyone, even if you're a beginner, I encourage you to like look up and see if your college has a ski team or a ski club, because it is just one of the most fun experiences I've ever had. I went to Florida Southern College, and we were one of the more competitive teams. So there's kind of like different levels. Some teams don't qualify for the nationals, some do. And we were always in sort of the top 3 at the nationals in D1. So we had a really great team. And I was able to earn a scholarship, so that was great. But more than that, just kind of the camaraderie of being on a real team is really, really cool. I mean, you're no longer, it's, I was considered a very good collegiate skier. I was an All-American, but you're not going to pull the team on your back alone. You have to have a full team to do that. And I think the whole process of recruitment, cheering your teammates on, getting ready for the tournament as a team, cheering each other on, having everyone there. Those are some of my favorite memories from water skiing. So like I said, I really encourage anyone who's even interested in you're a beginner to just reach out to the ski team. I mean, they usually 9 times out of 10 they're going to be very welcoming. They're gonna want you to come join. So yeah, definitely.
What was it like, obviously, getting to compete in the water ski world championship?
Yeah, so I've skied in a handful of, junior. Had some very good success in juniors at the World Championships. I was two-time junior world champion, and then university, two-time university world champion, vice champion in under 21 worlds. But then competing at the pro level at the World Championships is a whole nother battle. My first one was in 2011 in Russia. That was my first, and up until this year in 2021, the best that I had ever placed at the Worlds. I had no expectations. I think I came fifth or sixth. Like I said, no expectations. I kind of just went as sort of an experience kind of thing, and ended up doing much better than I anticipated. Then the next year was 2013. We went to Mexico. Sorry, no, Chile. We went to Chile. I had trained really hard for that one. I did perform the way I wanted. Then we went to Mexico in 2015. Again, did perform the way I wanted. Then I started a grad school, and again, I kind of went back to that mindset of like, let's just go for the experience. So 2017 was France. 2019, I couldn't participate because that was Malaysia, but I could participate because I just started my PhD program. And so sort of all throughout those, the common theme was like they didn't go very well for me. I'd always made the finals, but I had never performed the way I wanted to. The goal was always to make the podium. And then this year in 2021, I finally achieved that, and it was incredibly special. It took the World Championships took place at my home training site in Florida at Jack Travers International Skiing, and just having everyone there, my coaches, my ski family, my family, having everyone there was really special, and feels like I could, if I had to stop skiing today, I feel like I could do that now that I got my world's medal. So, um, yeah, it's been sort of a roller coaster ride of emotions, but I'm happy to finally achieve that.
Of course, what was that feeling like? As you said, you won the world medal and not only won it, but also won it in your hometown area.
Yeah, well, it was amazing, but it did come with a lot of pressure. Everyone knew that I could you know do well at all the events, but the worlds was something that I just never particularly achieved, or performed at my level. So there was a lot of pressure that came around having the worlds at home. Right when they announced that it would be at my home site, I immediately wasn't excited. I was immediately nervous, and so I thought, well, we better really plan this out and prepare. So I actually COVID kind of helped me out in a sense with this one because of COVID, my school went completely online. And so I thought, I'm gonna go down to Florida and train down there for this. And so it was during my comprehensive exam stage of my PhD program. It's a really intense stage. So I brought all my stuff, all my books, my computer, everything at desk, set it up there at the lake, stayed at the lake from probably, mid-April up until the Worlds, which was in mid-October. And I would, have my schedule. I would write in the morning, I'd ski in the afternoon. And I really, really planned it out well that year. That was last year, which ended up being at the time throughout the year, my best performances since I was a junior. And so the year was going really well. I felt really prepared for it. But again, it's Worlds, historically never performed too well. So I really had to you know, um, combat a lot of kind of like I'd overcome a lot of personal battles mentally to kind of get there. I remember in the prelims, I was hands down, the most nervous I had ever been in my entire life. My friend John, who it's actually his parents, it's their facility. He also had similar feelings just being at his home site. And we both afterwards, we just after the prelims and skiing so well in the prelims, I was second seed going into the finals. And he had made the finals too. Um, we were both just like, okay, we can kind of breathe now. Let's just go have fun at the finals, because it just there's so much training you do, and if I hadn't have performed as well as I did at the Worlds, it would be devastating. So, and I don't even know. I don't really want to think about how I would have kind of recovered from that. So, it was more of a feeling of relief.
What was that feeling like the first time you got to put on that Team USA wetsuit?
Yeah, that was like I said, that was probably back in '08 when I went to Columbia. And I remember getting the uniform before we went. And it was just really special. I mean, it felt cool to be a part of something. It was my first team. Again, like now I've been on several teams since then, right? But it was cool to be a part of something. Water skiing as an individual sport, you don't really get that many opportunities, and I hadn't had that opportunity yet. So it felt really great.
What are some of your favorite memories and moments competing in water skiing?
I think I was just thinking about this. I think one of my top, there's so many, but one of my top favorite moments was the collegiate nationals. It's a freshman year, ended up breaking the collegiate record that year. And just having all my teammates on the shore, my coach our Florida Southern our ski coach who has recently passed away, he was there with me. Is a dear friend of mine. Just thinking back to that tournament was probably the best experience. And it's on YouTube, so people can check it out. But the shore was packed. And as I got done skiing and came back into the shore with my teammates, they threw me in the lake. Like, just collegiate skiing is just such a fun atmosphere. So that was definitely one. And then the other two would be winning the world medal this past year, and then winning the Masters this year. As my dad was a professional skier in the 80s and 90s, and he had come really close to winning the Masters, which is probably one of our most prestigious events in water skiing, but never quite did it. He never quite got there. I think he got second a few times, and so doing that with my dad there was really special.
Of course, how is that like obviously sharing water skiing with your dad as he obviously got to compete in it?
Yeah, and my dad, my mom, and my sister all compete too. And so it really is a family sport. We just got back from the nationals last week. I skied. My sister didn't ski this year. She usually does. My mom skied Monday, and she got her first second place medal at the nationals. I flew up Wednesday. I skied Thursday, and I won my 10th national title. And then my dad skied on Saturday in the Masters Med category, which is kind of like the pros of the older guys. And as sort of like the oldest guy in the group, he got a medal as well. So we had a great week, but it was really cool just for us all to be there, and then that's water skiing, and it's a family sport. And my both grandfathers actually competed too. And they were great skiers, very competitive. So it's very special to kind of think about the generational aspect of it. And yeah, I love sharing. Like, my dad was the only one who is probably a professional water skier, kind of up to that standard. And it's really nice to have him because he understands it, and he's also a doctor, so he understands like the balance of the two. He understands how hard it is to balance both. So, I'll have a bad tournament or a bad practice, and it's nice to just kind of call him up and have someone who understands.
Of course, how has that been like obviously continuing the family legacy of water skiing?
It's been really special, and I know it's really special to my grandma and my grandfather, who are very involved with USA Water Ski still to this day. And then my other grandfather, who still skis at 85 years old, out in California. My mom's father, they love the fact that I ski, so that's really cool. But it's been cool to kind of keep the legacy going. We just hit our 100th anniversary of water skiing. That water skiing's been a sport, and it's interesting to think like the Morgan family has been a part of that for 60 years of the 100, right? So it's really cool. And hopefully, maybe one day I'll have kids, and I hope that they would ski too. So
Who are some of the people that you look up to in the sport of water skiing?
for me, it's anyone who can really balance doing multiple things. So Regina Jaquist is one who she's a pharmacist and an amazing water skier, probably the greatest female slalom skier of all time. She's always been an inspiration to me. My father doing both. Anyone who can kind of balance, both working and skiing, is really inspirational to me, because it is hard. Water skiing is a full-time job in and of itself. Unfortunately, we don't always get the kind of recognition that I think we deserve. But it really is hard, and it takes a lot of dedication. So if you can do both at a high level, that's always really inspiring to me.
Who are some of the most influential people in your career that have shaped you into the water skier that you are?
Yeah, there's so many. First and foremost would be my parents. Obviously they were skiers, and I wouldn't be here without them. Then it goes to the Travers family, Jack Travers and his his wife, and then his two sons. I went and lived at their facility when I was about 15, started homeschooling. So they're, my second family. Their son Chris has been sort of my coach since I was, 14, 13, 14 years old. So, long time, almost 20 years of skiing with him, and just kind of being there as my kind of confidant, someone I could talk to after every set. I'm going to ski with him this afternoon. Always there. Then I have a couple others. More recently, Ryan Dodd, who's the male world record holder for jump. He's really helped me out the last couple of years, just with kind of the more technical aspects and mental pieces that I really needed to just kind of get over a couple humps. And then, another coach of mine is Tanguy Benet. He's also a second father to me. And then all the people who have kind of supported my, not only water skiing, but my academic career. So my mentor, Beth Hubner, who is an extremely talented academic and criminologist, and just has been so supportive of me, both water skiing and working for her as a research assistant and as my mentor, just really helpful. I could not be here without her allowing me to kind of go and do my ski thing when I need to. So very thankful.
What are some of your future plans in this sport of water skiing?
I'm gonna go in terms of just skiing. Personally, I'm gonna go until my body tells me no. At the end of last year, I was sort of thinking my body was telling me no. I'm 29, I'll be 30 next year, which is sort of when a lot of people start peaking, and I'm definitely peaking. But at the end of last year, I had 3 injuries that I was dealing with, and I thought, next year is going to be tough. I rehabbed all winter, and it took me every bit of 5 months to kind of be like, oh, I think I can ski again. And I'm glad I did, because I went on to, win the Masters and World Games this year, which is incredible. But I want to keep going as long as I feel like I do right now. I feel like I have my body's feeling good. I feel strong. I feel fit. So as long as I can do that comfortably, I want to keep going. I do have a goal of breaking the U.S. record, which is 188 feet. I really want to do that before I stop. And then on sort of a more like service level, I'm part of the board of directors and the athlete advisory committee. I want to stay on those things, but then also I'd like to get into some more of the coaching, like to serve and do some of the either management or coaching of the teams that I started out on. So, coaching the junior teams and things like that. So I'd love to be a part of that.
What advice would you give those college athletes that are looking to get into the sport of water sports?
Yeah, I would just I think I already mentioned this, but just go down and see if your school has a water ski or wakeboard club or a team. If they have both, that's great. You can learn down there. My school, Florida Southern, actually had a water ski class. So that was really cool. I would help coach that. And water skiers are very friendly people. Like we just want more people in the sport. So and if you want to reach out to me about particular advice or colleges or anything like that, I'm happy to help. But just be willing to try it. It's not like the easiest right at the beginning, but it's really, if you give it some time, you can do it. And I think it's really important as a college student to have a hobby. I don't think there's no way I would be where I am in my career, both skiing or professionally, academically, without skiing and having that as such a strong hobby. It's really helpful to kind of shake the stress of school. So.
What advice would you give those people that are looking to represent the national team on water skiing?
Yeah, for those people, obviously, as juniors and just work hard. You're not going to get anywhere unless you get your time in on the water. I mentioned this, but as a junior, I spent so much time on the water, and it's paid in dividends now, where I don't have to train as much on the water. I can go a couple weeks and kind of pick up right where I was. But that wasn't always the case. So don't get frustrated. Like that's not something that you can do when you're a junior. You have to have your time on the water. Be ready for any conditions. Be ready for anything that, a competition is going to throw at you, find some coaching. And you don't need to, a lot of people worry about coaching. This is going to be expensive, but take videos of yourself. Send me videos. I'm happy to watch videos. And most pros, if you send out a video of yourself skiing, they're not gonna, say no. They're gonna be happy to help. So video yourself. That's something that I use all the time. I mean, I don't have the time to go and sit with Ryan Dodd, for example, all the time, but I send him lots of videos, and that's a huge thing that's kind of like come a long way with like just having your phone. As a junior, I didn't have that, so you physically had to go somewhere. Nowadays, it's just so easy. So that's a huge advantage that you should take advantage of it.
Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram. I think it's lauren.a.morgan, and then I'm pretty active on Twitter, like academically. So and that's Lauren Morgan Ski. And that's about it. That's pretty much all I'm on. I mean, yeah, I have an email as well, that, I'm happy if you want to send videos to. It's just Lauren A. Morgan 93 at iCloud.com. So yeah, send me videos or whatever questions.
Thank you again, Lauren Morgan, for your interview, and best of luck in your future in the sport of U.S. water skiing.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Lauren Morgan, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.